the curtain, or it's okay?
I think it's okay. I can see you quite clearly.
And I have my kid popping up from the back.
Okay, I think we're live.
Are we? Are you sure?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So,
all right.
Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to do this very first live of our geNEOusChats with Michelangelo. I think a lot of people in the industry know Michelangelo for a while, and now he has a very exciting role at Burgundy School of Business. And I couldn't think of a better person to be here with us today in this very first live geNEOusChat. So, Mick, welcome here. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. And I think we can get started with some of the very initial questions we had for you as a special guest.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Alejandra. I really honor it to be here with you and really ready to have like this informal conversation and try to to bring a contribution about the topic.
Fantastic. So let's get started with maybe a first initial question on who are you, maybe for the people who don't know you, and just tell us a little bit about your project at BSB. When did that start? And maybe what have you done as well with us? How did we get to meet and work together? Anything you want to share on that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to be as short as possible. I've been in the higher ed for now almost 16 years, working in different countries, mostly Italy. And it's like 1 year now because I moved to Dijon in April 2020, and I was appointed as the director of international development with like two main missions. One, of course, bringing BSB, the Burgundy School of Business, internationally. Of course, the BSB is already international, but of course, increase the number of international students. And the second big mission is having this little gem, which is the School of Wine and Spirit business, shine, because I mean it's a great school. It's something very specific, and this is definitely my second mission. And honestly, probably is what has attracted me to move from Milan to Dijon.
Of course, that's fantastic. And maybe the very last piece on how we've been working together.
Yeah, we have been meeting and knowing each other for some times, and finally, like with this, with this new position, we had the possibility to work together, and thanks to you, actually, you have been very helpful to make our relationship with our audience better, because we have used your services to automate to increase our automations, to increase our CRM, but ultimately is offering like a quality information to our audience, because of course in our industry, which means studying and choosing which is like the best courses for you, it's what I'm always say is probably the most important decision of your life, because you can change cars, you can sell your house, but the education will remain with you for life, and this is why it's very important to communicate at our best, and thanks to you, we are now in the position to do it. So thank you very much.
No, I mean, for us, it's been a true pleasure and a great challenge to accompany you in this new journey in Burgundy School of Business. So Mark, I'll let the floor to you so we can continue with this great moment with Michelangelo.
Well, just firstly, what a pleasure to have you, Michelangelo. Thanks for making the time to sort of, take us through this, because it's such an interesting program. I don't know much about wine beyond drinking it. But when I first saw the program, my first impression was, okay, as a wine and spirits course in Burgundy, or Burgundy School of Business, And I immediately thought, okay, that there's probably a lot of second, third, fourth generation family wine businesses that maybe somebody's inheriting it in the family and they're deciding to upgrade the business and upscale it. And so they go to a course like this to sort of learn how to take their business into the next century and all that. But then when I looked at the website, I thought there really is quite a focus on internationalization as well. And so I wanted to ask you what kind of work you've done around internationalizing this and broadening the scope of a course like this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we started to serve like the French market, and as you said, probably at the beginning, the idea was like serving like the territory, and probably a little bit like broader, like all like French, let's say, students and people interested in the wine in the wine product, and in fact, like the first program that BSBS decided to launch was completely taught in French. Actually, it's been ranked for like now 10, 15 years, the best program in wine and spirit in France. But that recently, and probably was only 5 or 6 years ago, I mean, the school has realized the potential, the interest, and the global interest. And of course, you have to consider that in the past 10 years, so we have like new players in the wine market, because originally used to be like what we call it the old world. So was Spain, of course, French, Italy, Spain. Then of course, US is becoming like and New Zealand and Australia, they're becoming like new players. Latin America, but recently China. And China is changing a little bit like the wine industry in terms of consumptions, but also in terms of producing wine. And recently, probably not many people knows, but Chinese have started producing very good wine. So far, it's very expensive. It's still very, very expensive, but now they're able to produce a good wine. So this make this sector very international, and this is why we have decided to open a master program in wine management for bachelor students interested to develop their knowledge in the wine sector, and an MBA, which more for senior students. They want to change their career, or as you said, they want to upgrade, because they want to move to the next level. And of course, making it internationally, so you first of all, you have to work on your credibility. So you have to be credible. So you need to have an offer that is credible. And to me, everything starts from the faculty, because actually we are promoting a program, and a program is made by the faculty. So this is why, I mean, the first piece is something that to me BSB has done very well, is to recruit top faculty. And in BSB, we decided to have a mix of academia and professional, but both of them with a very large experience in the wine sector. And we also need to have also like a top player in the team, and which also like increase your credibility. I love football, so you think about Barcelona and now Juventus, which is not even my team, but you think immediately about Messi and Ronaldo. And we also have the top player, so we have a master of wine, which is like Steve Charter, and the master of wine, you have only 300 people globally in the world. They have this kind of accreditation, this level of knowledge in the wine, and of course, Steve is British Australian, and is international by nature, and he brought also like this piece of internationalization also in BSB in the faculty, and let's say I'm the last part of the chain, so I'm now the person that has really to promote and making the school shine internationally.
Wow. That's amazing, Mick, and I can testify that as the last part of the chain, you're doing an amazing job with your great background in internationalization. So I think they're lucky to have you there as well.
Yeah, it's been complicated because we all have been through like a very difficult year. And if you consider that I started in April 2020, and actually I moved to Dijon in the middle of the COVID, in the middle of the pandemic, and I have to change completely my let's say go-to-market strategy, because to me, I mean, wine is taste, is gathering with people, is passion, and so is very much also offline. and that's what we thought. We thought that, you could transfer this passion very much with like offline events. Actually, sometimes, when you have like a crisis, you are forced to come up with new ideas. And we actually realized that that also lots of, online activities are generating like an incredible interest, and probably something we didn't even know. But we for instance, we realized that for wine tasting from like Zoom or from distance are sometimes even, so you can probably touch like a larger, audience rather than doing something like in one specific place. And also people that sometimes they don't have like the possibility, for instance, an example, to move to come to Burgundy and spend a week in Burgundy and taste like the best wine in the regions. But doing at home, you of course you downgrade the cost of the of the cost, and you can still experience top quality wine. So we have tried, of course, like to use the online in order to to transfer the passion, which is essential for this niche market.
This is what I really like about what you do, Michelangelo. I really like the when I think about French wine, it's almost like I'm Scottish, so we've got obviously whiskey here, and there's the big advantage we have is the provenance. Like you've got provenance and terroir, and this kind of sense of a belonging to wine. France and wine cannot be separated like, whiskey in Scotland. But we also have to acknowledge that, for example, in whiskey, the Japanese are producing very high quality whiskey. We don't like to admit it in Scotland, but they really do. Yeah. And so I see kind of the same thing with what you're doing. It's almost like you're leveraging both angles. You've got the Burgundy. Even I said to Alejandra, I liked when I clicked on the website and just the color of the website immediately. Everything is connecting to the provenance and the history and the culture of wine. But yet there you are talking about pivoting basically to leveraging the online space. So not seeing it as a threat that we've got to move online, but you're ready to quickly embrace the opportunities it brings. You have a good mix of professional and academia in the faculty, and things like the tasting room as well, and the kind of innovation aspect. So it seems like you're definitely not resting on the reputation of French wine. You're very much got an eye on innovation for the future. So how do you combine those two? Because you're trying to actually capture that in the story when you say this is the course, this is the degree, this is the offer, and try to capture both elements of that. How do you reconcile those two?
Yeah, of course, we cannot deny that Burgundy is playing an important role. In fact, you have to know that the Burgundy School of Business used to be the École de Commerce de Dijon, and they changed the name, and was probably several years ago, but with really linking the school very much to the territory. Because it's a magic territory, and because Burgundy is even more than French wine, is the best wine in the world, and it's not Michelangelo says that, but it's the price of the bottle, and it's incredible. In Burgundy we produce 3% of the wine in the entire France, 3%, which is really minimal. Okay, but among the most expensive 50 bottles available in the market, 25 are produced in Burgundy. So like the Grand Cru in Burgundy, they have a price range between 300, 400 a bottle, and can go up to to 11, 12, 13,000, which is like the most expensive. But so that's why I'm telling you, like of course the territory is playing a relevant role, and all these winemakers are 15 minutes from the business schools. So that's an incredible advantage we have. But again, the students and the audience, they come for of course the territory and the experience they can have. But we decided to go kind of beyond that. In fact, so we decided to expand the partnership and creating partnership with Champagne, because Champagne is still a wine, is just like an hour and 30 minutes ago. But of course, and we have developed partnership in Italy to, of course, giving to our students like the possibility also to discover different type of different producer. We are working very much with Côte du Rhône, which is like the region south of Burgundy, which are also they're producing like extraordinary wines. So we've decided, of course, to leverage on our traditions, but also through partnership, to of course increase our partnership and not only stop on the region of Burgundy. If I reply to your question, Mark.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's captured it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. For instance, we recently ran a project, and our students, they've been working for different wine producer in Greece, to develop their commercialization strategy, and this is incredible because Greece is producing very good wines. So the idea is, of course, in Burgundy we have the possibility probably to learn from the best, because according to what I just said, I mean, we produce the best wine, but also like in terms of not only production but also commercializations. I mean, selling a bottle to 400, 500, 1,000 euros is, I still find something like really incredible, and in a way is what you really boost my curiosity, because when you get in this world, you have I mean, just telling you this story, but there is a specific domain, and I'm not going to mention it, but which is sell a bottle of 13,000 euros a bottle. But if you go, you say, okay, I have my credit card, and I want to buy your 13,000 euros bottle. The guy said, so you need to buy a cage of 6 bottles, and the price is 60,000 euros, and there is like more demand than bottles available. So tell you, so how can go this? I mean, really, they've been able to move the product to like also to a part of the wine is a luxury product, because of course just serves like a very niche of the population.
I think you're picking up few words here that are very interesting. There's niche, but there's also a certain sense of belonging through that luxury product that you're discovering, maybe not only from a tasting perspective, but also from a commercialization perspective, as you were saying. Like now we're talking demand and offer, and it's no longer. I mean, we can think of, yeah, the wine is very good, but at the same time, you're buying that bottle not only for the taste, you're buying that bottle to have a sense of belonging to a certain niche, and that's also very much what you can replicate in terms of studies, I believe. Now you are going to study a niche program, not a very broad one, at a school that really does the job well in that particular program. So I think both can be very much related in an analogy, and that's what I love. You're not focusing on a very broad program, you're actually going very deep inside, and you're taking that abroad. You're not only focusing it locally. So I think it's a great approach.
Yeah, we do is also because, I mean, we are lucky. We decided, of course, to go to invest in that direction, but we have a product that is very complex, because and the complexity of wine, which starts from the soil, so you need to have an interesting geology, from the plant, how to grow fruits, how to harvest, how to the vinification, the oxidation of the wine. So the process is long, it's complex, and that's why, I mean, you also need to to have like a dedicated attention, in order to be able to understand the complexity of this project, this product, and of course, like be able to, of course, we prepare students to more on the commercialization part, but it's very much linked also to the production, because you cannot sell this product at very good level, if you don't know the product well. So and of course, like this complexity, I mean, also justify the fact that you really need to have like a specific knowledge, and everything we teach and all the programs we teach are linked to the wine and spirit. So everything. So we don't do like general courses. Everything has been created and taught, for students that will definitely work on this industry.
That's one thing I noticed immediately about your courses, because I've been involved many times in designing degrees and master's programs and things like that, and I know that it's the done thing to cannibalize other courses for economic and administrative convenience. That's what it is. You say, well, we can build a degree in wine and spirits management or whatever by taking this course from business management, this course from leadership, blah blah, and then we put on some specializations, and that's it. And I noticed immediately in your courses that you didn't do that. They were all laser focused on the industry, which I think is going to stand you apart, because I don't see that very often. And I wonder, because we talked a lot about knowledge, and obviously people need a knowledge of the complexity of this, whichever part of the supply chain or hierarchy they're going to work in, whether it's small or international. And I also know that we talked about the fact that you're surrounded by these winemakers. So there's the experiential side, and people understanding or engaging with the experience of the history of this wine is also very important. But what about skills? I mean, what kind of skills do you think the sector needs these days, and how do you help students develop that during your courses?
Yeah, I think probably the most important skills are definitely to have like a better knowledge about like a market that is changing pretty fast. So as I told you, the fact that now you have like new players such China. There is like the very new player is India, because again, I mean, also and the number of Indian students coming to study at BSB is increasing, and it's something that you could never consider only 3 or 4 years ago, but now like around Mumbai and also in Gujarat, but definitely in the south of Mumbai, you start having regions that were producing wine, and probably in 10 years time, of course, considering the size of the country, so they will definitely play an important role and shifting completely like the market of wine. So the idea for us is, as you said, I mean, we really try to change our curricula on a yearly basis, because the industry is very dynamic, is changing a lot. And again, you did something that is very true. I mean, we decided to have a business school in the business, incorporating the business school, but the business school of wine and spirit business and Burgundy is a kind of a separate entity. So it's belong to the school, but he has like his own faculty, has his own director, own labs, own research, and of course I mean, it's been like a larger investment for us, but as we said, we wanted to be very credible. We wanted really to go out there and say, okay, you come to us and you're going to have like an ecosystem that will give you like the best knowledge as possible, in order to prepare you for the future. But probably what we are doing is the fact that we are able, of course, to change rapidly the curricula and to adapt the curricula about like the new trends, and both on the production and on the commercializations. Also like the production is changing a lot. The fact that now the most important winemakers are trying to use less and less pesticide. Okay, and another important role is the climate change. Climate change is affecting all wine producers, and unfortunately, Burgundy probably in 2021. But I still like cross my fingers. But I mean, we had like couple of like really bad weather in March. Was March and April where the Chardonnay and was going live, and they affected like many of the of the vineyards. So that's something that you have to to consider and integrate in your curriculum, in your programs.
Wow. I'm curious about something, Mick. Did you, before going to BSB, were you a wine connoisseur, and was this a big passion of yours? Did you know a lot of these little elements you're sharing with us today? Because for me, it's been great.
No, I've always been passionate about wine, but as you know, I'm half French and half Italian, but I mostly lived in Italy and the UK, and I knew, I would say, a lot about the Italian wine, but very few about the French wine, because there is like a price difference between French wine and Italian wine. And if you live in Italy, of course, the Italian wine are definitely a little bit less expensive. And not living in France, I didn't really have this possibility to discover the territory. But honestly, when you step and you live in Burgundy, you just live in you're just in a magic place because of what we said. And if you consider that Burgundy is just producing like two grapes, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, but they've been able to do it at their best, and that is the history, is the terroir, but the way they treat the soil and the terroir is something that I've never seen elsewhere. When they talk about French terroir, so now I see almost on the daily basis what means caring about the terroir. And sometimes I like in the morning of Saturday to take my bike and going and riding in the vineyards. And there is this Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, where you have Côte de Nuit, you have the red, and Côte de Beaune, you have the white. And sometimes you see horses, so they still use horses to work the soil, and everything is so precise, and you can't understand how much knowledge and precisions and innovation and tradition that you need to combine everything to have this final product. It's not so that's really something unique. Of course, I don't know, but I know that nowadays Burgundy is really it's really shy. We were also talking about what make us like. Let's say so different is also like there's no I wouldn't say inaccessibility, but the fact that we only produce the 3%. That when something is not very accessible, is becoming unique. People want it. And again, of course, the wine. How you can. Sometimes, and I'm very interested about the price strategy, because I'm always questioning myself how you can price a bottle of 150 euros and 700 euros, because it's 7 times more, but already 150 euros is a lot of money for a bottle of wine. And how you can value this difference, and they do it. I haven't discovered the secret, so I'm still working on it, but so they're able to do it because they find always like the right buyer. You have people, they buy at 20, 30 like me. You have people, they buy at 50, 60, 100, 500, and it's incredible. In Burgundy, they're able to produce for all those segments, of wine lovers.
I love it. And a lot based on the fear of missing out, right? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Probably also this, and also like the way also that some domains they've been able to position themselves like worldwide, and so the fact that this is uniqueness is attracting also a lot of people, and also a lot of stars, because Burgundy is the favorite wine of and something I've discovered, but from US stars like DJs and rappers like Jay-Z is passionate about Burgundy. I didn't know, but the guy is coming often to Burgundy to experience. LeBron James. Again, he's very passionate about wine and always say, I like to relax after a game with like a glass of Burgundy. So just tell you, the importance that, that of course, that the name has now. And,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that the story has evolved, that you've got this very old traditional side, like you say, with the very complex knowledge that's connected intimately with the land. It's not like just sort of science. It's developed symbiotically with the land, isn't it, over generations?
It is.
And then you've got this angle, which is Burgundy coming into the modern world and reaching people through kind of popular culture. And it's still quite amazing to me that it's able to carry the weight of those two identities. It's kind of atypical when you think about branding, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah.
But how does that work? I don't really understand how Burgundy is able to be all those things.
Honestly, it's difficult, but it is very true. I mean, most of the winemakers, okay, then and some of them are incredibly rich, because I've just mentioned it, but they're still waking up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they go on the land, and then of course they've up to date the techniques, but they still keeping the tradition of like 200, 300, 400 years of history, and probably this mix is what makes Burgundy and the wine very authentic. For instance, and something that is not happening in Bordeaux. I don't want to talk to Bordeaux because I'm not very knowledgeable about this region of France. I know they produce fantastic wine, incredible wine, but the fact for instance, the most famous domains in Bordeaux, they've been probably bought by big corporations, okay? And China has invested a lot in Bordeaux wine because, you can something that we haven't discussed, but of course, a good bottle can increase the value in few years' time. So, and the finance, they understood that that's a great investment as well, because like you can understand that if you just understand, if I buy a bottle of like 2018, let's say of a newcomer producer, of like a producer that, and is plenty of small domains in Burgundy, and this bottle can probably double the value in 5-6 year time. So, and already I've been there for 1 year, and I have my favorite, domains, and I see already like the price increase of like 2, 3, 4 euros the bottle per year. So you can imagine, already in 5 years' time, you have an increase, and it is something, pretty unique in the market, because it's been a trend for several years. The price is increasing a lot, and again, what I was telling to Bordeaux, probably the fact they sold it to big corporations, they lost a little bit of probably, I wouldn't say credibility, but something that I think what is unique is see that those domains has been going from father to son, and the family owners, and the improvement, and in fact, if you check like the main domains in Burgundy, first time you see and their brand is, the tradition, the past, how they link the past to the future, and this is like the type of communication they have, and this is something that the people love.
Amazing.
Is the perceiving the quality, as so they've been able with this to make the people passionate in wine to really perceive the quality.
You've answered a question that I had actually quite well, because one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about things like competitive advantage for niche markets, and one of the big things is how easy is it to imitate. And I thought, at first I thought, okay, well, you could quite easily, not easily, but you could certainly set up a wine and spirits MBA in another university and do it really well. And I looked at what you were doing and thought, I don't think you're going to be alone in the market for very long. That was my first impression. But listening to you now, it's clear that the connection between place and what you're doing is something that can't actually be imitated, because it's so closely imitated. I mean, people could do another degree somewhere, but it'll never be like yours.
And it's very true also because, despite we are in Burgundy, it has taken lots of time to get the credibility of those domains, because first year they said, okay, it's a business school opening, programs in wine and spirit business, and they were not interested at the very beginning. So that's why, we decided to have like a very strong research center, and to go back to them and say, listen, so we have a research center, in a way we can support you, so we can work together, and probably we can both benefit about like a cooperations, and that's why we have gained credibility, and this is why that our students, are welcome on working on those domains, or also on Burgundy distributions, because again, as we said, was very much also related to traditions, and Burgundy is also like a very close ecosystem, and it was difficult for like a new entity like us, because the school was established in 2013. So it has taken a lot of time, but we gained this credibility, and I was like honestly very happy, because one of the best domain in Burgundy, and probably in my point of view the most innovative one, and it's definitely, if it's not the top one, is on the top 3. Okay, and we have worked together on a project in the US, because something we noticed, and something he noticed, that the wine industry was kind of a little bit too elitist, too white, and because I mean he's already the best worldwide producer, he said, and he's very much linked to the US, because he has some American origins. So we decided to, he decided, and we are now involved in the project to boost the diversity, and we partner with him. We partner with the organizations called Roots Fund, which is a no-profit organization in the US, mostly created by Black Americans working in the wine and spirit. And we decided, to create like a specific scholarship for like the best, African American coming to study, and we will give a full scholarship. But again, it is the fact that we gain this credibility, and now we can work on those projects that are very, 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 very interesting. So, but it's something that, again, the question you made is if you are like another business school and you open a school of wine and spirit business, it's difficult to link to those type of people, because getting the credibility takes a long time.
Absolutely. We're talking a lot about
for us, we can say that in 1 year time that we have been educated like a person that he can probably be like a very important manager in the industry, and he was educated with us, and he was trained in the best domain in Burgundy, and he can go on the job market, and then express him or herself at its best.
Of course. Yeah, Mika, I was saying we're talking about a big risk. As you said, it's still a young school, but based very much on authenticity, but combining, as we said, tradition with innovation, and finding a very specific niche where to thrive. And I think it's interesting to have a look at that. Now, having a look at the bigger picture in the education market. Now, you chose, BSB chose wine and spirits, fantastic. And I think, as Mark was saying, you will not be for long in this alone. But I think the same as a whole in the education system. I think a lot of little specialization courses are going to be the norm moving forward in different kind of skills that the world needs afterwards and for the upcoming generations. And I think it's also interesting, we could very quickly summarize from your end, if you were another school not related to wine at all, but looking for a niche. You have been doing business as usual forever, and you want to differentiate from the crowd. With your experience from the international sector, combined now with this commercialization of a very niche program, what would you think would be the right way to at least get started, or even consider it? Because if we're not doing it today, when, right?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, you have to be perceived by, mean, the potential audience as like, you know, a school that is following trends, because you have, unfortunately, a lot of schools that are following trends. You know, they try to, you know, to check the data, they see where the trends are, and they decided to, you know, to open a program, you know, try to follow in the trends. We've seen, you know, the digital, the data, you know, and in 5 years, you know, I think all business schools, and not only business schools, but engineering schools and universities, they have a program in data mining, you know, data science, data management, you know. So of course, and so we are all expert in data. I don't know, data, it's not an easy topic to handle, but I mean, all of us as a course in data, you know. And of course, what I think is, again, is you can go to the niche if you are credible, which means that you decided to have, of course, again, the faculty. So you need to start from there. You need to start from having the opportunity to do an investment and recruit people that are competent on this niche, because this is like probably the first, you know, the first step in order to excel. And then, of course, building an ecosystem around you, because you cannot alone, you know, probably get this share that in a niche market that make you also surviving. Because again, we have to be also very honest, at the very beginning has been difficult for us, you know, because of course I think we all did the right investments, but you know, was difficult really to, you know, to get connected to the right audience, because I mean, the smaller is the size of the market, and the more difficulties is to reach the market. And this is why, I mean, credibility and the fact that you have to create an ecosystem with partners, with like a third entities that are, you know, that are part of the project, part of, you know, of building this, like this knowledge, you know. And that's something that, for instance, we are doing in BSB with arts, because we have a program in arts management, and again, arts is becoming a niche. Unfortunately, arts has been going through probably the worst crisis ever, but hopefully, I mean, the everything will reopen, you know, very soon. But again, and because I believe that could be like a second niche market for us, because Dijon has an incredible group of artists. Nobody knows, but a lot of people, they move from Paris to Dijon because it's less expensive, and they are very close to Paris, and they go to Paris to exhibit, but they prefer to live in Dijon because they have much more spaces. And this has brought, you know, I mean, lots of exhibitions, and we are partnering with them to see, I mean, how we can create like a superior knowledge. And of course, in a way, as a school, we are trying to recruit good professors, and we have already, of course, some of them. But the idea is, of course, you know, try to create an ecosystem, and probably the third to me will be gastronomy. Because again, and this is probably the three main elements the three main, you know, strengths I see in Burgundy, where we can really give like an additional value to a student coming to us. And we are in general a good business school. We are, you know, accredited AQUIS and ASACSB. We're already on the top 1%. But I believe that in those niche I've just mentioned, we can really give like an added value to a potential student. So that's the new project. I think Arts BSB has already been recognized in the French market as the best business school delivering program in arts. And now my job is, of course, doing that internationally.
Amazing. You're taking the very best.
I think its credibility is making an investment. When I'm thinking about no trends, but of course is taking a risk, because sometimes you have to take a risk. But I believe that if you prove to the market that you are credible and you have all the strength to generate additional value, then the audience and the students will come, because they understand the difference. And I was honestly very happy, because Mark, we just met and we have never discussed before. And when you said, I mean, I realized immediately when I checked the website, that you really provide like an authentic program. Okay, and I'm very happy that you had this feeling, because this is exactly what we want to transfer. That we really provide you like an authentic niche program. It's not like we haven't just add like three or four courses to the program in management to make it nicer and a little bit more trendy and specific.
Well, I think there's and to give you even more of a compliment, I'm a cynic. I'm been in education a long time. I know, it's like when you eat in restaurants. If you've worked in restaurants, you've always got a different view because you've been in the kitchen, you've seen what goes on. You've got a different perspective, and I have that in education. So I'm very cynical about what I see sometimes on websites and things, and I want to kind of look beyond it and look for, what does this really mean? And so to say that, I genuinely felt like it was authentic, and like I said, one of the big things that came across was the dedicated course specializations from the ground up, not just all these bits from other degrees to save money, which you can see immediately. But I mean, I think that it's this is the difference between creating a niche, which is what you've done. You have created it because you didn't sort of jump on a bandwagon. That would imply that it was easy. You had to go to the producers with this long history and convince them and say, hey, we're not just going to disappear next week. We're in this for the long term. And here's our commitment to you by setting up the research center and saying, let's work together. Let's develop a symbiosis. Whereas, you do see it in other institutions. It's exactly what you said. They spot a trend and it's like, right, we've got 6 months. Let's get this course together. And they invest heavily in the marketing, but behind it, what's really there? What is really there? And that's the difference. And, what you've done is certainly created a niche, and you can see that there's a labor of love in it. There's a developmental process. And after listening to you today, I mean, if I was going to start an MBA in wine and spirits management in a university, I would be listening to you and thinking, maybe not. This sounds like, it's harder than I thought.
Oh, it is definitely harder because sometimes, I mean, I think you consider that might not be, in terms of, the intensity of the course, but it's I mean, so you really need to spend like lot of energy, a lot of work. So and something that I didn't really stress, but it's very, very important is, of course, wrapping up, and that's something we did very, very well, is with research. I mean, because that's also what makes the difference. And again, I think we are not giving so far, and that's something we are going to improve, and you will see in the next few months, is we have a group of researchers. We have an outstanding professor, Nikos from Greece. He used to be like a former professor in Reading, and we convinced him to come and to develop like the research around only the School of Wine and Spirit business. He has built like an incredible team. So we are fundraising hundreds of thousands of euros via EU projects, and all those money is devoted to to research around like wine, water, soil, but everything which is related to the wine ecosystem, and again, this is something you don't do in 6 months, and it takes time. It takes also an investment. But now we are there, and we are among like so we are listed in probably the most important papers that are produced on this specific segment and sector. So this is something, again, very important, and also part of my job will be how to increase the visibility of like the research that we are doing at BSB, because it's definitely something important. We have been the only business school capable to to get funding, from the European Union, because generally it's more universities, they work on European Union projects, and we are really I believe the only business school able to to work on and to get funding and European projects. But that's very, very important, because also it has like a different angle also on the teaching, and again on working with partnerships, and partners are like much, we increase to them like the opportunities to be linked with us, because also, I mean, in terms of research, we are doing a lot of also consumer behavior about wine, something that is very fascinating, and also, I mean, when you sell wine, you want to understand, how the consumer behaves, and it's incredible, because we know that wine you generally drink in special occasions, and focusing the research on the consumer is very interesting. So I don't want to say more, because of course it's not my topic, but is definitely like a piece of research that is very, very, very interesting. Also, definitely research also play an important role.
If you want to add a little bit of data to your research, I can tell you that after this conversation, I really want a glass of wine. And I haven't had wine for a while, so that's maybe some interesting thing for your data. And yeah, maybe somebody could do a bit of research into that, the power of suggestion. And
and I think I mean, we can feel the passion you have in this. I mean, we've been here for half an hour or so, and the conversation is, I mean, I've been smiling all the way through, because the way you're sharing this, the way yes, you landed there in a critical moment, being a big change personally as well, but in a very, very exciting project to take this international. And I think you're doing a great job, but more than focusing just on the present, you have an amazing vision on how you want to showcase this, not only focusing on one, but 3 niches that now you're sharing. And maybe this is a true inspiration for people who are saying, okay, we've been in this pandemic for a while. We're struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And look at this. I mean, you did all of that during this difficult time. So I'm very happy to see you striving in this, and to be sharing your experience with us and our audience today.
Oh, thank you, Ale. And then probably, something that I also would like to do is increasing also like the segment, because so far we are offering like a master and an MBA, but I really truly believe that there are like, let's say, newcomers in wine, and they would be like very interested to learn more. So the idea is probably creating, study abroad, probably shorter programs, summer programs for initial lovers, then of course they haven't decided to do a career in the wine sector, but they're interested to discover more. And I believe it's many many young students that they have this interest, and of course I would like to offer them the possibility to learn more. So the idea is, of course, like still working on the niche, but also like try to reach like as many segments as possible, and try to provide to them like an additional knowledge according to their interest.
I'm in. If you show me a program like that, I'm very up for it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would do short courses to demystify the complexity of wine, and to just to understand more about it. And the interesting thing about when you create a niche, the interesting byproduct of that often is that you get that cross section of demographics. It's not like when you're traditional, broader base marketing, when you're looking at, okay, this is the target, this is the demographic, psychographics, and it's all your personas and everything like that. But when you actually create something, you tend to cut through it, which is going to be interesting, because you're probably going to find that without diluting who you are, you're able to reach quite a broad section of people. And that's a beautiful thing. It
is, and of course, like my dream is is having it's really like giving the opportunity to a student who is like 18, 20, foster a little bit the passion, and also to attract like a star like the one I mentioned, and having them in Dijon for like a week, experience, and because again, I believe
Amazing.
that like both, as you said, both segments could be very, very interested, of course, like with a different type of experience, but offering them a different type of experience, but both like centralized in the wine, and giving them like an additional value.
Well, I have an idea for you on that, because the ethnotourism is a big industry, of course, sort of wine tourism and things like that. And usually it's run by individual vineyards. But if you think about, from like a teacher's perspective, the best way to really deeply understand something is to explain it to other people. Peer teaching is such a powerful way of learning. And so, I mean, how about if, for example, groups of people were to visit Burgundy region and were taken on tours by your students who had the job of explaining what they were seeing and how the industry worked and how the wine was grown and how the techniques worked. And it might be a way of, reaching out to a sort of new sector of people, but also reinforcing the learning from your students.
Yeah, that's definitely a great tips, and probably the sad part of this year for me has been like the poor interaction I've had with the students, because in any place I go, of course, I mean, hopefully my boss won't follow this conversation, but my interest is on the students. I like to link with them. I like to talk to them. I like to understand, what their dreams, what they want to go, what they want to achieve, and exactly how I can work with them, and in all places, I've been, I really try to engage them, because of course, I mean, our audiences are students, and there's not like better way to involve them on the project. So that has been like really like the sad part, because I really couldn't really spend too much time with them and to learn from them, because we have the MBA class, and I just been to the welcoming this year in September, and I was just amazed about like all this knowledge in this room. There's like 20 people from like 30 to 50 years old, coming from like so different backgrounds, sharing a passion with and in 2 hours aperitivo, it was wow. I was so happy. I was back in September, say, okay, I'm gonna spend like 1 year with those guys. And then of course, we had like less chances to interact, although I mean the MBA has been done in presence, but of course we had to be very careful about interactions. But hopefully next year will be different, and definitely, I mean, this is a great idea, and also to open to to new group of people they've never taught, but they willing to experience something new.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So. Great ideas. I think I always undermine the power of conversations that happen around these geNEOusChats, and there's always amazing ideas coming around. So very.
I'm expecting also. I don't know about Mark, about Scotland, with some universities or business schools. They decided to go niche. For instance, we had these conversations at the very beginning about whiskey, but you also are like so you have also some uniqueness that you probably should try to exploit, and you have some niche.
Yeah, they're very much investing in the food and drink industry in Scotland, and I live in Inverness, which is
exactly.
I mean, just half an hour from here is the Speyside region. So every mile there's another distillery, famous names everywhere. I'm surrounded by it, but the universities don't. There's not a course exactly like yours. There really isn't, and it's might be something they might. I might send them the recording of this video and say, hey.
Yeah, because actually there's, I mean, I see, I mean, of course that's whiskey, but also in the spirit industries, there is like lots of talented and passionate young guys that have been opening, new business, very successful. So, and so there is an opportunity there.
Yeah. I think so. Well, thank you for returning the favor with the idea.
Amazing. Well, Mick, I think we can end today's conversation on this very positive collaboration suggestion. So thank you very, very much for being here today. It's been a true pleasure to launch this lives with you.
Thank you, Ale. Thank you very much. And,
thank you very much.